I'm 26 now, but I realized that I still don't have it all figured out. And actually, so far, my 20s have flown by. With your 20s, it's all about building a good foundation. And the first phase is your early 20s, 20 to 23. You've just come out of being a teenager. If you're going through the formal education system, you're still sheltered a little bit. Yes, you may be living out and renting, but you've still got some benefits. A lot of people I knew wasted their time drinking and going to parties and treating their studies like an afterthought. I'm not saying you don't want to enjoy uni, but you don't ever want your studies to completely take a back seat because then you're playing catch up, so stressed and battling multiple deadlines. You don't want to be in that situation. But now that I look back on it, the years of 21 to 26 almost just drifted. And the reason why that was is because I had so much pressure that I'd built in my mind, and also what I subtly felt from others as well, in that you have to have your life figured out, especially once you leave university. Because of that pressure from parents, teachers, friends, saying that you've just got to figure out what you want to do early, it almost feels as if your life in that early 20s phase is consuming so much energy in trying to figure out what the heck you do. I was about to turn 21 when the lockdown happened, and life just changed as it did for everyone. I was studying from home now at university in this very bedroom. I had no real social life anymore from a face-to-face point of view, and just having to figure out what on earth I was doing. I graduated the next summer. Even then, it just felt very lonely. The biggest change I felt in lockdown was in my physical and my mental health. I was always a chubby kid, never really athletic, and I never liked how I looked. But in 2020, I committed to doing home workouts every day. I did that over a couple of months and I lost quite a bit of weight. For the first time, it felt so good because I'd always been the fat kid. Those large clothes were now baggy on me. I was now fitting into medium clothing. It felt great when we all came out of lockdown. People were like, we've lost a lot of weight. What have you been doing? I just really committed to going to the gym, and that was a really, really big step for me because I'd never been to a gym before and did proper workouts. I was really trying to look inwards and trying to reflect on myself. Around that May 2022 time, I was very negative, cynical, pessimistic, just a real downer in the room. I thought I might as well go on a bit of a self-improvement journey. I started journaling, trying to learn how to change my mindset and just trying to become more positive. I took more risks. I was trying to learn new skills. My career path, when you're growing up in your 20s, working in the corporate world, you kind of expect things to be a bit linear. You start off very junior and then you progress up. But for me, it was almost like every year I was having career changes. I graduated with a history degree in 2021. Then I was a consultant in an IT data privacy company the next year. Then the year after that, I moved into project management in an agile role. 2 years later after that, I'm a proper project manager. In 4 years, I've on average had a big career pivot in each of the years. So I've had to constantly readjust and reskill myself, which is a lot easier in your 20s. And it's a lot easier to do now that we have AI technology and tools available. But it was still so intimidating to have to reskill again and again. But you get used to it, man. Life is about change. And the more open you are to adapting and becoming a more skilled person, the more opportunities and impact you'll have going forward. But that was really my mid-20s. It's just trial and error, figuring things out, trying to build a foundation for myself. The reality is that you don't get formal education on these things. You have to figure it out yourself. And it's very difficult because if you screw up, you don't really have someone who can help bring you back on the right path. There may not be someone who tells you that there's no set life path that you need to follow. What is a good career path and life path for me may not be a good one for you. A lot of people want to start a business, but a business is very tough to run. And it's not as portrayed as it is on social media nowadays. There's so many different things at play, and you can just feel really overwhelmed trying to find where you fit in this bubble. So then I move on to the second phase, your mid-20s, when you're 23, heading into 24, 25, 26. My view now is that you have to keep discovering new things. Your 20s are a really important decade because it's where you can either start building a good life for yourself or you make things difficult for yourself going forward. Since I turned 25, I've just been wanting to keep discovering and trying new things. Where I can do something that's a little bit different from the day to day, I'll do it. Because the last thing you want to do is just have your day feeling the same for a long period of time. Touch grass, get outside. That's where real social interactions are made. Yes, you can build communities online, but real human interaction is valuable. You're not meant to have everything figured out in life, let alone your 20s. There's a lot of people who get older in their 40s and 50s who are still trying to figure things out. So just because you've graduated or you're in your mid 20s and maybe you don't have a job, or you are in a job but you don't like it, it doesn't mean that you're doomed. Be more conscious of where you are in life and think about the steps to get to a position where you feel a little bit more comfortable. When I think about this phase of your life, it's so important to start thinking with a little bit more intention and a long-term view. All the big decisions, for example, where you want to work, what degree you want to do at university, whether or not you want to start a business. The more you think about things with a long-term view, the more you can have control over your short-term life. Try it out for yourself and you'll see that it can have a big impact and make you a better thinker as well. In your 20s, you're going to be broke for a lot of it. You're still trying to build your capital, your social capital, your financial capital. Your 30s are where you start to solidify that. When you're building the house of life, your 20s are where the bricks start to be laid. And it's really important that you get the right foundation in, because then your life will progress a little bit easier. When you are choosing a career, never ever chase just the money, because money is just a tool. If you chase it and you almost come to value it as whether or not you actually have worth in this world, you will lead yourself down a very, very bad path. You'll cut yourself away from people and you'll just feel empty inside. Everyone is fighting their own battles, from the average Joe like me and you to the billionaires of this world. They all fight their own personal battles. So money will not get rid of those battles. Money will just bring about new battles. I used to think that you've got to really follow your passion, but I actually now have a different view. And that view for me is you've got to follow your skills and build a career around what you are good at. If you follow your passion, there is the odd chance that it might come off, but the odds are stacked against you. Instead, build a skill set, and then you can find a career that suits that. Not only will you feel more valued in your work, but you'll build more value out of it. You'll get more money from it. You'll get more social capital from it. Whereas if you follow your passion, you'll enjoy it for a time, but it can turn into a job and you don't want that. You can get quite burnt out because the path forward isn't clear. My degree choice is a perfect example. As a history graduate, I never wanted to do a history career, but I wanted to do it because I enjoyed it and I didn't want to chase something for the money. I built the skills, the transferable skills, and now I'm starting to find my feet from a career point of view, using those skills that I learned in my degree in my day-to-day work. And then finally, as I'm moving into this late 20s phase, I want to hit you with a few more quick lessons. Number one, grades do not measure intelligence. Just because you're a straight A student at school does not mean you'll be a straight A student at life. Book smarts are great, and I was a fairly high achieving student. But fairly quickly after I graduated, I learned your real education starts after you graduate. Because once you're out of that shelter of being a student, life hits you. You've got to find a job, figure out your social life, marriage, building your network. These things we don't get taught in school. So find mentors and learn these lessons the right way and not the hard way. Life is full of problems and it's all about solving problems. If you don't have the street smarts or the know-how or the emotional and mental strength to battle those, then you're just going to be chasing after yourself. Prioritize learning about real life skills as opposed to just grades. You're never going to be taught how to figure out your life path, but be open to new opportunities. Say yes, because you don't know what benefits can come out of it. Be curious as well, because life is about experiences. It's great to build a career and work hard, but if you isolate yourself from the world, you don't learn about new things and talk to people, you're never going to evolve. Not a good space to be in. But speaking of hard work, you have to work hard on the things that matter most to you, and you've got to prioritize. There's going to be 1,000,001 things that you want to do in your 20s now that we've got the most energy in this decade and the least amount of responsibilities. It's easy to say yes to everything, but use your 20s to build your foundation, financial foundation, social foundation, career foundation. Make sure that you have that learner mindset of just wanting to improve. Never be comfortable with the status quo. Things always change, and you want to learn how to keep yourself afloat and be intentional. A lot of modern technology is trying to get us to not be intentional with our time and to just sink time into platforms. The more intentional you are with life, the more interesting it becomes. And if you are still feeling stuck in your 20s, I'm running coaching sessions, link in my description. Peace out.